Okay. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Neil, and welcome to everyone to today's meditation practice. Is there anyone here for the first time today? Oh, fantastic. Great. We got a few. Awesome. Welcome. If you haven't silenced your phone already, please do so at this time. So put your phones away so you can be fully present for the talk and the meditation. If you have to use your phone, please do so out in the meditation hall. So we're just going to have a few announcements before we get started. We invite you to join Geshe Pende for our weekly medicine Buddha practice in person and online 6 p.m. on Tuesdays beginning December 16th. He usually has been doing this, but he's been on a long trip to Asia for the last month and a half. This week, our Tuesday evening public talk at 7 p.m. will be by His Eminence Gonsa Rinpoche. He will speak on gratitude as path, Buddhist perspectives on thankfulness and appreciation. Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m., the Drepung Loseling monks conduct evening prayers for His Holiness Dalai Lama's long life and other teachers. On Thursdays at 4:30 p.m., the Drepung Loseling monks conduct the Protector Puja for smooth journeys, successive interviews, and medical treatments, new businesses, etc. The monks will offer traditional filling of statues and stupas, followed by a sacred consecration ceremony in person via our streaming channels on Tuesday, December 9th at 6:30 p.m. We invite you to drop off or ship your statues and stupas used for personal devotion and practice to be filled and consecrated by the monks. We have a limited selection available in the gift shop if you're interested, but the statue drop-off and shipping and receiving deadline is Tuesday, December 2nd. The Venerable Monks of Drepung Loseling Monastery and the Mystical Arts of Tibet Tour will be performing two powerful ceremonial healing pujas in the next few weeks. This Tuesday, November 25th, at 6 p.m., we have a medicine Buddha puja for physical and mental health and well-being. On Tuesday, December 2nd, a green Tara puja at 6 p.m. for protection, healing, and prosperity. You're invited to submit names for those who are not present. On December 14th, we honor the anniversary of Parinirvana of Lama Je Tsongkhapa at 5 p.m. The Venerable monks will lead a Guru Puja Sak of offering, featuring an offering of fruits, cakes, and other baked goods and juices, as well as flowers and candles. If you're bringing a personal offering, please plan to arrive by 4:30 for placement and arrangement on the altar. Our annual year-end retreat with Geshe Pendela will be held on Freedom from the Four Attachments, an in-depth exploration on the obstacles to spiritual practice and the path to genuine freedom from December 27th through the 30th. It will consist of 3 sessions each day and is open to all, and it's free for current members. The center will be closed next weekend for the Thanksgiving holiday from November 27th through the 30th, so all practices are canceled for those dates. So that's it for the announcements, and just as a reminder, please do not park on the grass out behind the center, behind the building. If the lot's full, there is overflow parking in the elementary school via Skyland Drive, and you can walk through the parking lot to get to the center. So information on all these events can be found in the lobby and on our website at drepung.org. And if anyone's interested in volunteer opportunities to get more involved in supporting our center and programs, please see me or anyone with a name tag. And if you're interested in becoming a member to support our ongoing programs and take advantage of the benefits like discounts on the courses and retreats, access to the library, applications can be found in the library, or you can also register online. There's a donation box near the entrance of this room. Your generous support helps us continue to offer programs and services like this to our Atlanta community and to those around the world who are on our online platforms. That's it. So now please stand as we invite our teacher, Geshe Lomsala, to come in for today's practice.
Good morning again. Good morning to our online audience as well. Or good afternoon, wherever you are joining. Welcome to the Sunday morning meditation. Anyone here new? Oh, quite a few. Welcome to the meditation. Have you done meditation before? Everyone who is not yet? So, majority, you have been coming, but we do have several for the first time. The meditations we do here for Sundays from 11 to 12, these are quite general. General in the sense that, yes, it is a Buddhist center, and the meditations, of course, taught by a Buddhist, obviously is roots in the Buddhist tradition, but the meditation we do here are quite open. These are secular, in the sense, not in the sense against religion. It would not make sense. This is a religious institution, but secular in the sense that it is not framed in any religious framework, like the metaphysical framework. So in that sense, meditations we offer here are this 11 to 12, open to the public. The meditations, we can say that that the science has been exploring, scientists have been exploring, meditations that have been offered to a wide variety of people and not done as a religious practice. So these are more spiritual instead of religious, if you make that distinction, religion and spirituality. In America nowadays, there are many people who say that they can identify themselves as spiritual, not necessarily religious. The religious, in that context, I guess, has to do with being part of more organized religion. Because all religions have certain metaphysical concept, Buddhism included. The karma, it may have some dimension of our everyday actions and the behaviors and dispositions, but it does have the metaphysical concept also, that what we, like the way they said that what goes around comes around, or something like that. What you sow, so shall you reap, like that, not necessarily right now, in even like the future lives and like that. Those are metaphysical concepts, We don't have a way to scientifically prove or disprove. Like the God, we don't have a way to scientifically prove or disprove, right? Like that. So lack of evidence is not necessarily the evidence for its absence, like that. But it's also true that that could be just a belief. But that's fine, that people can resonate with the idea of one God or multiple gods, polytheistic, monotheistic, or atheistic, like the Buddhism. Atheistic in the sense, not having the concept of there is a creator, an intelligent designer who had designed the universe how it should be, how it will unfold and all those things. So in that sense, some religions like Buddhism, Jainism, in India there is a a part of what today we call the Hindu tradition called Sankhya. Sankhya, it has two parts. It's very ancient religion, actually, that at least 3,500 years old religion. That has two parts. One that's grounded in the theo, meaning the creator entity, and the other is atheistic, with no creator. But so this atheistic religion, largely, again, there are certain metaphysical, but it ground in more in natural laws. That. So that's why they are more friendly for the scientific investigation. Scientists to get to. That's nothing. That doesn't say anything that what is true or not. Like that. As I said, that evidence, lack of evidence, scientific evidence is not the proof of its absence. Like reincarnation. Like, single God or the multiple gods governing the laws of nature. These are all beliefs. For individuals who believe in that, it is true. For those who don't believe, it's not true. So it's okay. There can be multiple views, right? That's okay. Some people like coffee, some people like tea. It's okay to have different preferences. But I think there is something that is without which we cannot really survive well. Without water, we can't survive. There is no life if there is no water. So that's why we're exploring, is there water on Mars? Maybe in the future we can send our, next generation, if this Earth somehow come to, in serious danger of serving as the habitat for us. Water is what we need. Can we live without water? Yes? No. Anyone who doesn't need water, please raise your hand. If I ask you, anyone who can live without coffee, raise your hand. I can. Anyone who can live without tea? Yeah, I do like tea, but I can live without that. That's like religious beliefs and concepts, the practices are, for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Over here, His Holiness. His Holiness is our inspiration of these times, and for us in the Tibetan Buddhist world, or many Buddhists, or actually for many people around the world. He is more than a Buddhist leader. He is a universal figure, like that. Certainly in Atlanta with Emory University, he has been collaborating for many years to precisely bringing this message that we should respect all religions because these are individual preferences. Why should we have everyone to be what I like, what resonates with me? There's no reason. That's why we get in wars, conflicts. We should appreciate diversity. We should respect people's preferences as long as it's not harming others. Some preference can be, I want to have all the guns and go shoot. That's not good. That's not right, because it's causing harm. But if it is for, bringing the goodness in them, then it's their choice. And if that make them better person through that, whatever beliefs, that's wonderful. We should appreciate that. But there's something that without which we cannot survive. And these are the basic values, basic human values. Not actually even the human values, these are values of mammals, certainly for humans. So among them, one of the most important values is compassion. Without compassion, as His Holiness says that, His compassion, love and compassion, just two sides of the same coin. He says that love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries, without which humanity cannot survive. Could any one of us have survived, from the very young age? How old are you? 7. To somebody like me, old man, like the 65, we would not be here if love, the compassion was missing. Somebody, when we were totally helpless, unlike many animal babies, human babies cannot survive by themselves. If you left unattended, we would be dead in a few days. In a couple of days, maybe after born. But it's wonderful that there are people who do valued us as little precious, little babies. Most often our own parents, where that love, compassion is unconditionally flowing. That is what nature has endowed us. It's biologically we have the disposition to feel tenderness, warmth for those who are very close to us. Close, not necessarily physical proximity. Our children, our parents, friends, and like that. That tenderness is what draws our attention towards whom we feel tender. If we feel cold, it may lead to indifference without their struggle or their, we don't care much. If we, on the other hand, feel instead of warm, really harsh, that makes us tighten, make our chest tight, and like that. Instead of bringing our attention there, we want to move away, or maybe even sometimes cause harm, So this tender feeling towards others, it's a blessing. It is a miracle. It's a mammalian given, that yeah. So that's why that we are here. So these are the things that we can learn to cultivate, to develop. Because if we can't connect with those seeds that we have, those little flames that are in us, it can grow. I'll allow it to grow. Then we can feel more. tender with more and more people around at our workplace, the family members, relatives, the community, whether they are our blood-related members or the strangers. Perhaps, even those who have different views, different political views, different religious views, different color of skin, race, different ethnicity. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we can have a little bit more capacity for that? Our world needs that. I think President Obama was right. In 2008 he was running, 2007 he was campaigning for his presidency, when he said that we need to talk more about empathy deficit in our culture today than the financial deficit. It was at the time, remember, those of us who adults, we remember what that 2008, 7, like that, just during that, before transitioning from one president to another, that in those final near collapse of economy, global economy. For someone to recognize that we need to talk more about empathy deficit, compassion deficit, than to talk about focus on financial deficit. Financial deficit is important to overcome. The finances are very important. But if compassion, the empathy, compassion is missing, we cannot have a real sense of flourishing in life. That's this ability to connect with others with a certain meaningful way is the key for well-being. Many, many research studies show that social connectivity is the key. You can have millions of social, what is that called? Facebook friends? Social, what is that? Millions of fans. On our end, if we don't feel that connection, we will be very empty, very lonely. It was really telling for me when Michael Jackson died, such a global icon, star. I mean, you can see if he couldn't, without making arrangement, he couldn't just go to a store to buy some things without getting mobbed by the fans. Yeah? We're so kind of starstruck population. Some celebrity, just like bees, we just, I don't know what we get. Just by the star. Maybe some feeling of joy, of course, yeah. But anyway, that's pointless. What I was saying is that Michael Jackson, when he died, his psychologist was on a television show and was talking about how he struggled in life, that what was reported as, overdose of certain drugs, right, that he was taking, that was reported. So the therapist was talking about that, he was saying that how he struggled, this feeling of isolation, disconnected, lonely. He was saying that he asked Michael Jackson one time that, do you feel lonely? Are you feeling lonely? And he said that he sat silent for a long time. And then after the words came out of his mouth, first words were that I'm the loneliest man on the earth. How is that possible if you just see it from the external appearance? Man couldn't even go to the store without getting mobbed, or the streets, screaming and just surrounded, just to touch, just to have a sight of him, people, Yeah, from there, the feeling such joy of seeing him, but from his side, if he was not feeling connected, that leaves subjective feeling of empty, So that's what I'm saying, that, like this. Here we talk about and do meditation on Sundays, that meditations that are not limited to religion. Of course, all religions have valued this compassion, love, being more mindful, attention, forgiveness, and so forth. But these are not religious values. These are spiritual values. These are basic human values. And we can benefit from this by practicing and sharing with others. We can become not only the source for our own well-being through that. When we feel better, we can exude that. That can show in our action, in our little decisions, in our gaze, in our expression in the face, in our body language. So many different ways, how we respond to people around. So we can become the source of well-being for others. And that can ripple. But positively or negatively, how we act has impact on others. And theirs on others, so the ripples, like the ripple effect. So that's why spending some time to what we already have. We all have these qualities, potentials. It's just that sometimes it's harder when life is so busy. There's so many things to attend to. Fast-paced life that we live. Society that we are kind of creating more and more. Now you have this, the life has become really fast, the pace. Yeah? Before, we would write letters, wait for like several weeks, maybe the month if you are really sending overseas, and then wait to hear. If you do not hear within a week, you are not impatient, frustrated. If you do not, eventually, from the closer one, you do not hear within a day or two, you are not frustrated. Now, we need instant, response. You send a little text or the email. We expect right away. If that doesn't, then we project, that if a person doesn't like me, that ignoring me, all kinds of things, psychological tensions that come. So that's why we need to create, I'm not saying that physically simplify life, there's not the absolute necessity for that, some, like the President of America cannot just take 2 hours to just go in a quiet room and meditate and reflect and like that, because it has to take care of the whole world in so many ways. Depending on, if you are a parent of 2, 3 children, they are still young and like that, you have to take care of them. That you have to do whatever the responsibilities like that. It's not about, those make harder, but fundamentally it's important to some degree need to create this inner space. Settling our body and mind is very important, because if we aren't able to settle our mind and body, they build up, then that in the range of our physiology, or the emotions, body and mind, in a certain range when we function well, we feel better, we can have greater creativity, thinking. When that range, it narrows down, become very, a little thing bumps you out into high, anxious, agitated zones, like that, where you don't think well, you don't feel better, you don't function well. Or if it is so narrow for you, I was doing my math, instead of range being wide to narrow, when something goes wrong, it may make us so helpless, feel so hopeless, bump us out of the zone into the lower zone. And then if we remain stuck there, low zones where we feel fatigue, numb, depressed, hopeless, no good, I'm no good, life is not worth living, things like that. That's how it feels when you are low. And if we remain stuck long, occasionally it happens to all of us, high, low, these are natural, But if the range of our resilience is quite narrow, that homeostatic range, then in life there are ups and downs are natural, So if we constantly get bumped out of that homeostatic or resilient zone, then chances for us to get stuck in high or low, longer and longer, are very high. And when that happens, it causes a dysregulated body and mind, that we don't feel good, we don't function, we can't think. It undermines. And then we also can't relate to others. We can't see, the others' needs for those men require us, our children or the colleagues or the other people. So that's why, many of these qualities we already have in order for us to enhance, to widen that range, like tender connection and forgiveness, self-compassion, the greater way of non-judgmentally, not quick to judge, but to have a bigger pause between what we perceive and how we respond, and like that. We need to find some ways to broaden that range. And it's thanks to the contemplative traditions have taught this meticulously and practiced thousands of years. That is, in the many spiritual traditions have this. All spiritual traditions practice, but some traditions are more in exploring, that, and writing down and transmitting and practicing and exploring, so it gets kind of built and transmitted, and then now science, that for the last several decades have been now, instead of seeing the mind and the emotions in the black box, you can't see what's inside. You just need to see what a stimulus and what the response is. You don't know what goes between. If we don't have access to what goes between, how are we going to change? Anger is anger. Love is love. But if we don't have access to our inner experience to enhance love, mitigate anger, and like that. If only we're given that somebody who insults me or that does, and then the response is to bark back or to hit back or to like that. If only those stimulus and response behavioral psychology, that if that's the way, then there's very little we can do. I mean, that it's not that there are certain behavioral changes, modification we can do, but very little. So thanks to the, cognitive science revolution, that, and now particularly that whole contemplative science that we have evolved technology and sciences to investigate the mind, the emotions, attention, compassion, all this. We have much more insights now, like that. So, yeah, that's why this is what we focus here on Sundays. I would want to lead you to a brief meditation for creating that resilience zone, to expanding that zone of our body, mind, emotions, where we can be, it's little wider, so that despite certain ups and downs, we feel that there is something we can do with. There is an agency. That yes, it is little uncomfortable, but I can write this, that I can do something about it. As long as we have that sense of self-agency, we are resilient. We can bounce back from any upsets more easily instead of getting stuck there. So that's what I like to do today. Shall we practice? Okay. Please take a moment to find a comfortable posture, as we will be sitting for about 15-20 minutes. So finding a comfortable posture may help, but as you are finding that comfortable posture to sit, whether in chair or on the cushion, if you do notice any immediate tensions like tightness in your chest or heaviness in your shoulder, certain tightness in your neck or face, forehead, back, and so forth, just feel free to see if you can stretch, and stretching can help soften that, or rolling your shoulders sometimes can help soften your chest, but also lighten the chest. Or stretching your neck, just gently to right, left, front and back. And then, only if it is comfortable, see if we can place our body in a position that can facilitate a little bit more, that can give a little bit more energy for us to be a little bit more awake and alert. And that is by bringing the back in the upright position. Just bringing the back in the upright position, as if a spinal cord, invisible kind of imaginary cord, the crown, it's like a string, just pulling it to make your vertebrae, just a bit more aligned, comfortably. And then letting it rest, just that way. As you bring your attention to this upright position of your body, see if you notice any subtle inner shift in your energy level. Does it make you a little bit more awake and alert? Give you a bit boost of energy that makes you awake and alert. Of course, you can keep your eyes slightly open, just vacantly cast downwards. That can also help us, as the light that comes through our eyes can keep us awake and alert. But your eyes may just of their own accord gradually close, that's also okay. Or you prefer just closing, that's also okay. As we bring our attention to the body that is nicely settled on our cushion, in our chair, just bringing attention to that point of contact with that firm support of cushion or the chair. Perhaps feet, if you are sitting in the chair, your feet firmly supported by the floor, that you bring attention to that firm support. Where our body is stable, and still. See if that leads to a corresponding inner shift. A slight shift maybe. This inner sense of groundedness. Just a sense of settledness. Our mind somewhat alert, yet to some degree settled in this way, made possible by this physical posture with our right back, and have settled on the firm support of cushion, chair, floor. Take a minute to just briefly direct this mind, the attention, to our body and mind, bringing our attention to begin with a particular part of our body, like chest or shoulder, face, neck, and so forth. And see what you notice there, what that body landscape, inner landscape, feels like. What sensation do you notice? Does it feel tight or relaxed or somewhat relaxed? Are there any other sensations you notice, like heat, coolness, certain vibrations and like that? Do this unfolding sensation in that part of the body feel pleasant or neutral, or perhaps even unpleasant? Just acquainting ourselves with the state of our body, with that inner landscape, in the form of those physical sensations. Beyond physical sensations, see what else is going on for us right now in our mind, in our experience. Any worries, or just feeling safe. Any agitations, feeling ease or unease, feeling high or low in terms of nervous, anxious, or just feeling fatigued and down, or just at ease. What is occupying our mind right now? Briefly checking in with the state of our body and mind. If we do notice certain lingering tensions in the body, in the form of tightness, heaviness, certain unpleasant sensation in the body, or the tensions of the mind, the worries, agitations, just feeling down, feeling discouraged and so forth. Let's take a few deep breaths to see if that helps us soften some of those tensions of the body and mind. As we breathe in, just take a slow yet full in-breath. And with that, just breathe in, refreshing and rejuvenating, nourishing air rich with life-giving oxygen. Oxygen that keeps us alive, that nourishes our every cell. For that matter, as you breathe in, just it helps, you can even imagine you are breathing in any other resources that nourish your body and mind for peace, joy, happiness, confidence, and so forth. In this moment, what we need emotionally, just taking that resource, breathing in, let them infuse with our whole being, body and mind, nourishing our body and mind. With the outgoing breath, as we exhale, just gradually and with full exhalation, with that, letting go of, releasing those tensions of the body and mind that we may be experiencing. Let the outgoing breath help us release, clear those tensions that we may be struggling with right now. Thereby allowing our body and mind to just come to settle. Any degree of this unfolding sense of ease and calm. If that happens, just rest your awareness, your attention with a sense of ease in the body and mind. Otherwise, take one or two more of such full in-breath of those nourishing air and resources. And with exhalation, with a full exhalation, letting go of those still lingering tensions of the body and mind. Now connecting to a certain degree of this ease in our body and mind that we feel, let's now take a few moments as I invite you to connect with a moment from your past. It can be just earlier this morning, yesterday, or last week, or last month, last year, or way back in the childhood. Any time in the past where you felt a similar degree of ease and calm, a certain degree of safety, where you felt a certain degree of comfort, emotional, perhaps. A moment that where you felt nurtured. Whether it was just receiving kindness from someone in your family, circle of friends, mentors, colleagues, members of community, or even just random stranger. In a moment of need, emotional, physical, or otherwise, in such vulnerable moments, someone had provided to us that sense of nurturance, sense of comfort, made us feel safer, seen, where we felt comforted. Among many such moments that may come to mind, or just take one particular event. And bring that to mind as clearly as we can. In other words, bring yourself to that moment. Bring it to mind as vividly as possible, with as much details that you can recall where and when such a moment happened, what condition you were emotionally, physically, or perhaps in the relationship context, in a vulnerable moment, or occupationally. What was that? Who was that saw your needs and responded? What manner that they respond? It could be providing some needs, some consolation, or just being with us, hearing us, instead of jumping to providing a kind of problem-solving manner. But it could have been just them listening and being with us. Perhaps not even not saying or giving anything beyond that. That was the most nourishing and needed for us. What was that? That interaction with this? Can you recall the facial expression, body language? If the words were conveyed, what was the tone of the voice? What was the content of that speech that put us at ease? And what were our feelings in receiving such nurturance? What did that mean to us then? And what impact that had afterwards on us. Recalling or connecting to that moment of nurturance and immersing in that moment just as vividly, as much detail as we can, for a few moments as we did. Once again, bring your attention to your body, to the chest, shoulder, or wherever you checked in earlier in the beginning. See if you see any shift in your sensations in that body landscape. Does it feel any tender, more soothing, relaxed, lighter perhaps? And our inner experience, do we see any shift towards more peace, calmness? Perhaps a certain abiding sense of joy, feeling at ease and safer. Any degree of these subtle shifts if we notice, just knowing that this reflects our body and mind being more regulated, where we feel better, we feel more clear, thinking clearly, where we function better and we can relate to others better. And it is a skill to expanding this zone or the range of our well-being or the resilience, where we have greater agency to what we encounter, how we respond. It's a skill that we can improve like any other skill with practice, doing it again and again. This can become more enduring, more second nature. So let's take a moment to dedicate any goodness that unfolds from our collective practice here today. For that matter, as we continue to practice those positive forces of the goodness that unfolds, let's dedicate this for greater good, for peace, healing, harmony and happiness for all beings. Dedicate this positive force for our continued growth in building our resilience, where we can be able to grow other qualities, healthy aspect of our mind, emotions. And let's dedicate this for such qualities to grow in our society. Let's conclude by setting an intention to take these skills that we worked here beyond this meditation question, beyond this formal session, extending this into after question moments, into our everyday life. At times when we do notice that we are dysregulated, emotionally, physically, mentally, in those moments, perhaps we can take a few moments to just take a few deep breaths to ground ourselves. Perhaps even take a few seconds or minute to connect to that nurturing moment and sit with that, to bring our body and mind more in that regulated state. Or other times we can intentionally just set an intention to randomly few times a day, just to check in with our body and mind to see how we're feeling. If we notice we were stuck in high or low, or really verging towards high and low, there we can take that choice to just few moments, few breaths to settle our body and mind, to further connect into a moment of nurturance, to bring that our nervous system, body and mind in a more regulated state where we would feel better and function better, think better, relate to others better. Thank you. Have a great day. I do want to have a quick thing. Next Sunday we are not meeting, Thanksgiving. There is no meditation next Sunday. But Sunday after next, I think it is December 7th, that's when, the first Sunday of the month. That Sunday, one of our colleagues from Emory Compassion Center, that Penny Clemens, will be leading the 11 o'clock meditation. She is a master, she's a very, very inspiring and brilliant instructor, teacher to guide the meditation. I hope you can come and let your friends and others know. And that's also the first Sunday of the month, and there is chai tea also. So please come and enjoy your meditation. Thank you. Have a great day.